and welcome to a brand new video, my first ever video in fact on this channel. And today we are going to talk about the one and only Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. I am Polish. However, I was born in England. Both of my parents are Polish, and I cement my roots deeply within Poland. Me and my mum travel to Poland once or twice a year, and whenever we're there, we visit Polish landmarks like castles and palaces and anything with historical significance. And simply put, I'm absolutely fascinated with Polish history. I love it. I wish they talked more about it in school, but unfortunately I have to learn about Queen Elizabeth and blah blah blah. But yeah, I'm absolutely fascinated with Polish history. I just love the vibe. I love all that it entails, you know, from when Poland was a bunch of tribes to the Piast dynasty to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth to Poland and Poland under partition. Wait, that doesn't even make sense. Poland when it was partitioned, and then Poland when it got its independence, and then modern Poland. The point is, I love Polish history, and with this channel, I'm so happy that I can just quietly ramble and talk about it whilst relaxing you folks. So here we are, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, also referred to as Poland-Lithuania, was a federative real union. What the fuck does that mean? It was basically two countries merged as one, Poland and Lithuania, between there you go, the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, and it existed for about 200 years, from 1569 to 1795. This state was amongst the largest and most populated countries of the 16th to 18th century in Europe. At its peak, in the early 17th century, the Commonwealth spanned approximately 1 million kilometers squared. Wow, that's crazy. And had a population of 12 million. That's crazy. And the common language, the official languages were Polish on land, and Catholicism was the state religion, which I mean, fair enough. Here we go, here's the Polish flag, or the Commonwealth flag. You got the red and white and red stripes, kind of similar to Austria. And then you have the herb, and then yeah, you have the Polish eagle, and then what's his name, Jagaiwa, riding the horse, and there's the Jagiellonian coat of arms, and this is actually the Swedish variant when Sigismund III reigned. As you can see, it's the House of Vasa crest in the middle, and then there's a little sheep dangling here. I don't know if that's like homage to Poznan, because I suppose the country's animal is a goat, or like a sheep, so maybe that's a reference to that. I don't know, but yeah, there you go. Here's the country's borders. Fucking hell, can I just say they look sexy? I mean, Sigismund III did good at drawing up Poland's borders, like damn. But there we go. So, let's go to history. The prelude, the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania underwent alternating series of wars and alliances across the 13th and 14th centuries. also imposed Christianity on Lithuania. Yeah. Yeah, as I say, it transformed Poland into a hierarchy. So yeah, it was two kings though. Sorry, Queen Jadwiga and King Jogaiwa, or Władysław. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. They ruled over their nations separately, but they worked together for like a same cause, I suppose. So yeah. And then Jadwiga died, unfortunately, in childbirth, and Władysław was proclaimed King of Poland. Now we fast forward like, sort of like 100 and so years, and the Union of Lublin was signed. Several minor agreements were struck before unification, notably the Union of Kraków and Vilnius. Wait, what the fuck? The Union of Vilnius and Radom and the Union of Grodno. Lithuania's vulnerable position and rising tensions on its eastern flank persuaded the nobles to seek a closer bond with Poland. The idea of a federation presented better economic opportunities while securing Lithuania's borders from hostile states to the north, south, and east. Lesser Lithuanian nobility were eager to share personal privileges and political abilities enjoyed by the Polish latter, but did not accept Polish demands for the incorporation of the Grand Duchy into Poland as a mere province with no sense of autonomy. Mikołaj, the Red Radziwiłł, and his cousin Mikołaj the Black Radziwiłł, two prominent nobles and military commanders in Lithuania, vocally opposed the union. But ultimately, Polish king, who was like a great-great-grandson, I think, or something like that, to Władysław II, don't quote me on that, ultimately signed the Union of Lublin, which made Poland and Lithuania one nation. Sorry, this whispering's actually making me really sleepy. So yeah, it was signed, and Second died only 3 years later, and an interregnum was proclaimed. They had to find a new king, and the Union of Lublin basically made it so that these two countries joining together would have to elect a monarch after a monarch's death, so it wouldn't be a family succession, it would be an electoral vote by the Polish and Lithuanian nobility. And so when the interregnum ended, was ended by the Polish and Lithuanian nobles electing Henry de Valois, or Henry II of France. There you have it, 40,000 nobles cast a vote. In what was Golden Liberty, the allowance of nobles to vote for the king. The pro-French factions in Poland won the election, and Henry de Valois ascended the throne. Some people glazed this guy, but I mean, honestly, he didn't do much. He just gave more power to the nobility and then fucked off to France when his father died. So, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, he signed the Pact of Coventa. Yeah, it declared policies the king would enact once on the throne. So the king was basically the Polish nobility's bitch. There was no real power. The king could do not so much really. The king couldn't really do much without the nobility's approval. And yeah, he also established the Henrican Articles. Yeah, so let's skip a bit. We had Stefan Batory, a phenomenal general. He fought for Teutons, claimed land in the Baltics, and I think, yeah, did some shit in Gdańsk, from what I remember. Yeah, the Livonian campaign, there you go. Conquered parts of the Baltics. Yeah, and importantly, during his reign, gained the city of Riga, sizable lands in Russia. He took the city of Smolensk, and Polish people are really proud of this. In that, during his reign, Poland became the only country in history to occupy Moscow, a feat that was never accomplished by the Nazis or Napoleon, but yeah, was done by the Polish, and I'm very proud of that. And yeah, that's something cool Poland can brag about. But yeah, we gained sizable lands from Russia. He was very much a zealot, and he was very aggressive during the Age of Reformation, when Protestants started coming into West Poland, sort of the Wielkopolska area. And there was a brief moment where Poland and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was in a union with Sweden. There you have it. I mean, if that still stayed together, it would have been a behemoth of a nation. I mean, Jesus Christ. It was short-lived, as Sigismund III's uncle Charles IX kicked him out of Sweden and took Sweden for himself. And it happened because Sigismund was Catholic and Sweden was Protestant, as well as Charles IX. So you can probably see how Sigismund was unpopular in Sweden. But yeah, the capital was changed from Krakow to Warsaw during his time. He gave patronage to many artists. I mean, yeah, Poland just oversaw a great time of prosperity. And yeah, peak Poland. Yeah, there you go. Militarily, this guy was pretty successful. Winning the Battle of Klozino. The general, Stanisław Żółkiewski, phenomenal general, severely outnumbered by the Russians and Swedes, but still won and took Moscow. Crazy. But yeah, after Sigismund, we can just skip by Władysław IV. He sort of continued Sigismund III's prosperity, even forming the Polish Navy. And I shit you not, we actually won a naval battle. The Polish Navy was really short-lived. Maybe I could find out. Where is it? Should be here somewhere. Sorry for that, let me just do Navy. There you go. Yeah. The Polish-Lithuanian Navy. And it was short-lived. And we didn't have many boats. But we won a battle. Yeah, Władysław wanted to expand the navy actually, and it could have been beneficial to fight off the Swedes in the Baltics. But ultimately, the nobility just wouldn't fund it. We won a battle. It was the Battle of Oliva, I believe it was. Oliva. Sorry, that was really, really loud, I think. I don't know. Where is it? Oh my god. Oh shit, I'm sorry. I'm really new to this. But it's right there. Oh my god, I'm so silly. Yeah, we won this battle. There you go. Here's how it happened. The Swedes sort of came in, then we sort of skirmished and was able to outflank them. And yeah, send them retreating. Pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, under Władysław, he sort of continued his father's prosperity, and then we reached John Casimir, John II Casimir, and during his reign ultimately was the beginning of the end for Poland. As I mean, Casimir, I believe he was a competent ruler. Oh, never mind. John Casimir proved to be weak and impotent. Never mind. Yeah, Poland, at the expense of its prosperity, was very harsh on the in Europe was fighting Poland. Well, I say everyone boarding Poland. There you go. The Duke of Transylvania, the Duke of Prussia, Sweden, Russia. Yeah, not a good time. My description of this is a little bit vague. I believe it was Sweden who started the invasion, then everyone else joined in, but the point is, it was a really bad invasion. It was so bad that when the Swedes occupied Warsaw, the population was 20,000, but dwindled to 2,000. And then when the Swedes realized all of a sudden they were losing, when they left Warsaw, or left any major cities they occupied, they took everything that was valuable, from door frames encrusted with gold, to like marble, to like to chimneys, to anything that was valuable, that valuable stone, or nice textiles or whatever. And well, Poland had its brief moments after that under John Sobieski and Stanisław Poniatowski, but Poland largely dwindled after that. We fell off, simply put. I say we won the deluge, but it was largely indecisive. Poland won the deluge at a large expense. Then after John Casimir, we had King Michael. He was largely insignificant. He was just a puppet to the Polish nobles. But then John Sobieski came, and wow, he was a phenomenal commander. Yeah, he is most known for being the savior at the Battle of Vienna. The Ottoman Empire were besieging Vienna, and then John Sobieski was asked, like, yo, can you crush these Ottomans besieging Vienna? And he was like, I bet. So he showed up with the Polish Hussars, which is actually named after his channel. And yeah, he crushed the Ottoman force outside of Vienna, which he says marked the final turning point in the 250-year struggle between the forces of Christian Europe and Islamic Ottomans. The Commonwealth gained the name of Antimural Christianities, and basically it meant that Poland was the savior of Europe. Pretty cool. So Jan Sobieski was probably the last Chad Poland had, and then we fell off again. The next election was won by Augustus II, I think it was. Yes, Augustus II. He was pretty much useless. He basically became a bitch to external forces and to the Polish nobility. He didn't do much. He was more focused in on doing stuff in Saxony than in Poland. We largely suffered in the Great Northern War. The Swedes whooped our ass again, and then he just died an old fat fuck. And then his son, Augustus III, where is he? Augustus III, yeah, was elected after him to succeed the throne, but Stanisław I, this guy Stanisław I, was also claiming to be the righteous Polish king. So the Swedes backed Stanisław and fought Augustus, and that was basically the Polish War of Succession. And the point is, it was fucking brutal. Poland just got weakened even more, and it really went to show that external forces just could meddle with Poland as much as they wanted to. And eventually Augustus III would die in 1764, and our last king, Stanisław Augustus, succeeded the throne. Now, I believe people give Stanisław Augustus too much shit. I believe that his attempt at reform of the May the 4th Constitution and the Royal Corps of Cadets and yada yada, I believe there were good attempts at in the third partition when they were winning, and amongst other things. But overall, I think, I mean, the guy was good. He got the throne as the Russians were backing his election campaign. Yeah, he was sleeping with Catherine the Great, and Catherine was like, you know, you've been such a sweet lover boy, so I will fund your election campaign to get the Polish throne. And so yeah, and then Catherine was like, okay, just don't do anything silly and try and get more powerful than you really are, because at the end of the day you're still my little bitch, just in Poland. And Stanisław was like, okay, YOLO. And then he sort of went against what Catherine said, and then all of a sudden tried to make Poland powerful with its reforms. But at this point, it was too late. We can see Russia just ultimately decided Poland is too much of a hassle. And so Russia teamed up with Prussia and Austria and just took all the land. The blue being what Prussia took, the green being what Austria took. And this, I don't know what you call it, pink, beigey colour is what Russia took. And yeah, this is the land taken. This dark sort of colour is what was taken in 1772. This sort of darker blue is what Prussia took in 1772. And this colour is what Austria took in 1772. And then the brighter colours are this colour, sort of brightish blue is what Prussia took in 1793. This is what Russia took in 1793. Austria didn't partake in the second partition, but Poland just lost even more land. And then finally, in 1975, what the fuck? In 1795, Poland was fully annexed by Prussia, Russia, and Austria. The lightest colours being the final lands that the powers took respectively. Yeah, and just like that, Poland was gone. Here we have a photo. This is beautiful, I love the attention to detail. But it kind of goes to show what Poland was becoming. Sure, it looks beautiful, but it looks a bit bleak. It's sort of a subtle foreshadow of what Poland had really become by the 1700s. You know, like 100 years prior under Sigismund Vasa, it was prosperous, it was blooming, and now it's just beautiful in its bleak way, with sentimental clouds flying by and the nobility seemingly oblivious to the ultimate downfall their nation would have. And I think, actually, this is my take, the Polish nobility were fucking stupid. They thought way too much about themselves instead of thinking, okay, maybe we should actually allow the king to do some shit to actually make this kingdom survive. Because I truly believe that the nobility was what was holding back Poniatowski, amongst other kings, doing their reforms to make kingdom more powerful. You know, Sigismund II, when he signed the Union of Lublin, he wanted to give the king more autonomy, but he died, so change could never be made. And since then, nobility just cemented its roots further within Poland's power, until they got too greedy and were partitioned by greater powers. Which is unfortunate, it makes me sad. You know, it would have been crazy to see Poland, you know, survive like 20 years and fight alongside Napoleon. You know, see them go into the 1800s, you know, become industrious or whatnot. You know, but no. Unfortunately, it couldn't be. This is just beautiful. Look at this, man. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the Warsaw Castle is a little bit meh. I feel like for what it's worth, there are better castles in Poland. Like, if you do list off castles in Poland, you can find some truly beautiful ones, which I think, don't get me wrong, the Royal Castle in Warsaw is a beautiful architecture. Można. This one is really beautiful. A little bit worn out over here, but the purple tiling, it just looks like a fairy tale. In Modlin, I've actually been here. It's quite sentimental, this castle. It's reminiscent of a better time. I like to imagine. When I was there, I like to imagine that. I like to have imagined that nobles used to straw by in their carriages by this bridge and, gaze upon their great work. Ogrodzieniec, imposing castle, beautiful. It's really just the outer shell of the castle, but it's amazing. Pieskowa Skała is just beautiful. The Polish Castle Trust, I don't know what they're called, have done a beautiful job at renovating it. And I mean, it's just phenomenal. That's pretty technically built by just the Germans, really. Kaiser Wilhelm. But regardless. Anyway, sidetrack. So yeah, that's a really brief overview of Poland's history. I'm sorry for my stutters. I'm really sorry for my stutters and my brief overviewness. In all honesty, I'm a little bit nervous. I've never done this sort of thing, but I've wanted to try it out for some time. I've loved listening to ASMR, but I've always wanted something to listen to that was more into what I'm into. And well, I'm into Polish history, so yeah, maybe this could soothe your ears a little bit. Maybe this left you with a little bit more knowledge or something. I don't know. But there you have it. There you go. Here's a painting of a Polish election. Jan Matejko, phenomenal painter. I absolutely admire his works. He is like the king of like recreating historical events which are Polish. There you go. That's cool. A Commonwealth ducat. There you go. Sigismund Vasa. It is crest in the middle. Nice. Sort of what the nobility, female nobility would wear, sort of in the 1700s, around the time of Augustus II and Augustus III and Stanisław Poniatowski at the west. It's had a big impact on Poland by the 1700s. Wilanów is a beautiful palace. Absolutely beautiful. Commissioned by Jan Sobieski. I believe so anyway. Beautiful. Beautiful kingdom. Palace, sorry. Not kingdom. A better inside Polish borders. So you sort of have like Casimir the Great's borders here. And then you have like the Grand Duchy of Lithuania here. But then Lithuania conceded Ukraine to Poland. And then you have like Stefan Batory's conquests in the Baltics and Sigismund I's annexation of Prussia. And yeah, well that's nice. A little topography map. You can see Poland really didn't have much natural defense. I mean, most of it was plains or highlands. It was only the south that was a little bit more strategic with its sort of higher lands and mountains, the Carpathian Mountains. What is this? Statutes of the Polish Kingdom, there you go, written a few years before the Union of Lublin. This is Grand Marshal of the Crown, Łukasz Opaliński. There you go. Wow, that is beautiful. Rococo, sort of iconostasis, church in Vilnius, amber casket from Gdańsk, 17th century, wow. Stanisław Poniatowski,